So you've got some traffic coming to your site, but you're still not happy with the results. Maybe you've got a lot of traffic and you're just not getting the results you want. Well, in this video, I'm going to talk about how you can actually convert more visitors into customers, or more visitors and people taking action on your website with a few simple tips. So let's get started with the first one. The first tip is to find a purpose, what we call a call to action. You need to make sure that you've actually got a purpose for your website. If someone lands on there, what do you want them to do? If you're a brick and mortar business, it might be to get them on the phone or get them to send you an email or even walk into the store. If you're a blog, maybe it's to get them to subscribe to your email so you can later sell them a purchase. Or maybe you just want them to purchase straight up. You need to define what it is you want people to do and push that as often as you can on your website. It could be in the footer of your website, could be at the bottom of a blog post, could be in the middle of a blog post. Could be on your homepage, in your sidebar, could be anywhere. You could be a little aggressive with it, just don't be overbearing, and make sure people know what it is you want them to do next. If they like what it is you offer and run out of sort of the next steps, they're gonna think, well, maybe that's next, and they will be more likely to actually take that step. So make sure you define a purpose, a call to action, and ask people to take that call to action on your website. The next tip is to make sure your website loads quickly. You can actually do a speed test over at tools.pingdom.com and see how fast your pages load on your website. If it takes more than 2 or 3 seconds, then you've got to speed it up, because a slow loading website is going to make people a little disinterested. They're not going to want to wait around, so they're going to leave. So you can actually speed up your website by doing a few things. One, quality hosting is the best one. I recommend SiteGround. I've got a link to it in the description below if you want to check them out, because slow hosting just takes too long to communicate before they even start receiving the page information. The next one is to avoid plugin bloat. If you've got a lot of plugins on your WordPress website, then you're going to slow down your website big time. I usually try to stick to about 5 or 6 plugins max, especially if I'm doing a small business website. I'll even try and keep it down to 3 or 4, but never exceed 20. You want to find that sweet spot in the middle where the page is still loading quickly, but you've got the functionality you want. You can also sign up for a CDN like Cloudflare, links below. Optimize all your images so they load quickly and are at the right size. Don't upload full camera-sized images, they take way too long to load. Avoid using widgets like iframes and like Facebook like boxes and that if you're looking to speed up your site. I'm not saying you shouldn't use them, but if your site's slow, that's one thing that's going to slow it down. And make sure you update your WordPress core plugins and themes regularly to make sure they're up to date and loading as fast as possible. The next tip is to use these 4 essential pages. For one, you have a home page. That's one of the pages. You can't not have a home page, otherwise you've got nowhere for people to land. But your home page is a great way to sort of guide people to different areas of your site without being too information heavy. So that way you can set up your main pages, including the next 3 I'm going to mention, or your call to action a few times to make sure when people land, they've got some general direction on where to go and they don't have to read a paragraph of text to figure that out. So your home page is the first one to guide people to the rest of your site. The next one is a contact page. You want to make sure if people want to contact you for whatever reason, that they have a method of doing so. Even if all it does is lead to a form or to a social media page, if you're not looking for phone calls or emails, well, the contact form is going to be email, but finding ways that people know, okay, how do I contact this person? It's a form of legitimacy. It also just helps bridge that gap, because if you want to be contacted, people know how to contact you. They see the tab at the top of the screen that says contact and they go to it. The next one is products and services. So obviously if you're a business and you're selling products or services or both, having that on there lets people know exactly what it is you do, because that's the whole purpose of your site, is to get people to buy those products and services. So have a page that goes through what it is you offer. And if you're not a business making money off products and services, whatever it is that you're offering people or trying to get them to do, it's essentially whatever version of that is. If it's a blog, it could be a simple case of start here so people can get the information they want from various areas. Because it's an information-based website, you want to show people what information it is you offer and where they can find it. So whatever it is that you're primarily trying to do with the website, a services page or something like that, whatever that page sort of fits that description of what it is you're trying to do, I would pop that in there. And finally, your about page, because a lot of people don't worry about their about page, or they make it all about them. With an about page, it's about building trust. It's not about telling your life story. People will go to websites and go to the homepage or the about page to make sure that you're not full of it, to make sure that you are trustworthy. And the about page is a great place to be transparent, but you want to lead with what they can get from you first. So if you're pushing a certain product product or you're pushing certain information people can benefit from, make sure that's the first thing you talk about, that this website is about giving you these things. And then you can talk about why you're the person to give it to them and qualify what it is, your experience, qualifications, whatever it is, your story, and then talk about yourself. And then lead into something else like your products or your services or whatever your call to action is. Your about page is about letting people know who you are, but you also need to make sure you're offering value first. Another tip is also to be transparent. Get real photos of you or your building, your staff, whatever it is that's going to make you look authentic, because there's a lot of people out there scamming people online. So by being authentic and transparent, making sure that you have real photos and things that make people realize you're a real person, it's going to help them to trust you more and realize that your website is trustworthy. So the About page is one of the most important pages you can have with those things intact to make sure that you are actually, in fact, selling that you are trustworthy. Next is to design for SEO. Now, I'm not talking about images and layouts, but when you're building pages and areas of your website, for one, you want to make sure that you have a plugin like All-in-One SEO where you can set your meta title and meta description. But also you want to make sure that the information on your page has the keywords that you're trying to target in there as well. And then you want to further and put it into, say, your headings. Your heading 1 title, which should be the title of your page or blog post, should have your keywords in it. And you should have a heading 2 or a heading 3 throughout that information, which also has those keywords in it. And trying to make sure you design your information and layouts so that they're SEO friendly will make a big difference. Another thing is when you're inserting images, fill out that alt text and describe what the image is about. Occasionally pop your keywords in there as well. Finding ways to get your pages and blog posts keyword rich with what it is you're trying to rank for is the way to do it. And again, more information below in the description if you can't remember what I just listed off then. It's going to help you sort of rank better on search engines, and as you get more popular, you will continue to rank further on search and get more visitors that way. The next tip is to remove the clutter, because quite often people try to put everything on a page and it just becomes too much. The first thing you want to make sure you can do is give people what they want above the fold. Now, above the fold means the bottom of the screen. It's a terminology from newspaper. When you used to fold a newspaper, anything that was above that fold was the stuff that people read first. But you want to make sure if someone's coming to your website to read a blog post or to find something, make sure you put that item they're looking for right in front of them when they land. Remove all the other stuff and try to have only that, maybe your navigation and logo, your call to action there. Those main things you need them to see, you want them to be visible, and anything that detracts from those things is only going to make things worse for you and the visitor. So declutter your site, declutter all the stuff you don't need, and focus on value in your call to action and the other elements you need, such as your navigation. Make your text easy to read. A lot of websites, they choose very complicated fonts or dark backgrounds with weird text that's just difficult. What you want to do to make sure people don't just sort of think this is too difficult and leave, make sure your text is easy to read by choosing very simple fonts that are easy to read. Make sure they're big enough. I usually go for 16 pixel height or more with my paragraph text. But having a simple font that's black on a white background, especially for small text, is always more legible than something like even white on a black background. And you don't want your lines to be too wide. Have you ever read a book where it just seemed like you kept going forever and ever and ever, and then you had to go all the way back and figure out what line you were on? Keep the lines widths shorter so people can easily read. Making everything easy to read is a key part of making your website more accessible, and where people aren't concerned with how difficult it is to use and they get on with getting what they want and then acting on your call to action. Another way to help is to add in subheadings to make things scannable. You want more information, but make sure people don't have to read the whole thing to find out what they need. Put subheadings in there to guide people throughout the post and throughout your text, and also images, landmark images that break things up or also help describe different areas of the information, will help to keep things more easily scannable, easily readable, and gives people an idea before they even start reading just what information is in that area of the page. People aren't going to go start to finish, so set those things up so they can just scroll down, go to where they want, and get what they want. I know I said this before, but end your page with a call to action. Now I'm going to reiterate this because people often read articles or blog posts or go through a page online, get to the bottom, and there's nothing there. There's a footer, so they end up scrolling back up, or they end up just leaving. when you hit the bottom of a page, always have your call to action, because if they don't know what to do next, at least they'll investigate that, and you've got one foot in the door for making a sale, a new subscriber, or whatever it is that your call to action is. So that's just one way to end the experience on a page for someone. Put it there, give them a next step, so that way you can get them doing what it is you want them to do on your website. Use action colors. Now, action colors are colors that stand out from the rest of the website where you're trying to prompt an action. You might notice if you go to old websites that were pretty basic, where they had black text and a white background, which once again, I recommend that for reading, they had blue links because the blue stood out and it made it easy for you to recognize what a link was. So when you're actually building your website, it's good to have a color palette that is sort of in one particular direction and have a particular color, usually the contrasting color of your color scheme. Have that as your links, your buttons, or your action areas on your website. One great way to do this is if you have a neutral grayscale website with blue throughout, is you might have red links and red action areas. Now that might not sound great, but I've done it recently on a website for iPoint Music where we had primarily a neutral and blue color scheme. We popped red into the action areas in order to sell more courses. There are things like this that you could do to basically grab someone's attention, and it also kind of subconsciously programs them into knowing where the action areas are on your site. So they know what to read, they know where to act without actually having to think about it. It's processed instantly and visually. Simplify your navigation. Don't have 10 items across the top, because people will quite often just be intimidated, or as they say, paralysis by analysis, and just not know where to go. Stick to 3 to 6 items, or like I said, those 4 basic items are a great place to start, so that when people go to the website, they know what the options are and they're more easily able to make a decision, because those items are all very different from each other. When you have 10 items, you get a lot of similar items, you get a lot of drop downs, people get caught up trying to figure out where to go next. Just keep it simple, lead people onto one page, and if you want to, lead them from that page to the next little smaller areas that you want them to explore. But keeping the navigation simple is a great way to get people actually using your website instead of leaving. Finally, make sure you set up an email list. Now, I know I've talked about a call to action and about purchasing, getting people through the door, but the truth is, when people go onto a website, quite often they leave and they just don't really ever come back. When you set up an email list, you get a chance to actually contact them again. And there's some tips around that. You can set up some kind of freebie, like a free ebook with some tips or something like that, and they exchange their email for that ebook. So that's actually a really powerful way to actually re-interact with people. They go to your website once, see something they like, they sign up and get it, and you can then start sending them emails. You can also send them emails on autopilot, where you set up, I've got one email list that has about 9 months of emails set up automatically for an old blog I haven't updated in 2 years. But people sign up and they get emails for a good 9 months, and some of the emails are just emails with information on them that has value. Others send them to the website to read more articles or more blog posts, and some are literally just selling things, and it's a real passive way to get some more interaction in with someone, and when they get used to you, they're more likely to buy. So if you're looking to start an email list, check out the video card on the screen right now to do that. Otherwise, thanks for watching the video. Give it a like if you like it, and have a great day. Hope to see you again soon.